The first day at Crestwood High was supposed to be simple. Just another school, just another town, just another name on a transfer slip. But when Nia Carter stepped off the bus, her dark eyes scanning the sea of curious and hostile faces, she knew this place was different. The whispers slithered like snakes. "Who's that? Look at her. Think she's tough?" But Nia didn't flinch. She had seen worse. Far worse. What they didn't know, Nia wasn't just the new black girl in a school that didn't want her. She was the mighty last person they should have ever messed with. The bell hadn't even rung before the first test came. Tyler Briggs, the school's golden boy quarterback with a smirk that screamed entitlement, blocked her path in the hallway. His boys fanned out behind him like hyenas, waiting for scraps. "Hey, new girl," he drawled, looking her up and down. "You lost? This school's got standards. You sure you belong here?" A few snickers, a few phones raised to record. Nia's fingers twitched, just once, before she relaxed them. "Breathe. Not here, not yet. I'm exactly where I need to be," she said, her voice smooth as steel wrapped in velvet. Tyler's grin widened. "Cute, real cute. But let's see how long that attitude lasts." He shoved her. Hard. Nia stumbled back, just enough to sell it, before catching herself. The crowd erupted in laughter. "But Nia," she smiled. And that should have been their first warning. Because something will happen next in this story that you would have never imagined. From which country are you enjoying this story? Let us know in the comments. And subscribe to follow Nia's journey as Crestwood High learns the hard way. Some predators hunt in plain sight.
The first day at Crestwood High was supposed to be simple. Just another school. Just another town. Just another name on a transfer slip. But when Nia Carter stepped off the bus, her dark eyes scanning the sea of curious and hostile faces, she knew this place was different. The whispers slithered through the air like snakes, low, hissing voices asking who she was, what she was doing here, whether she thought she was tough. Nia didn't react. She had heard worse, seen worse, lived through worse. What they didn't know was that Nia wasn't just the new black girl in a school that didn't want her. She was the last person they should have ever messed with. The bell hadn't even rung before the first challenge came. Tyler Briggs, the school's golden boy quarterback with a smirk that dripped entitlement, stepped directly into her path in the crowded hallway. His friends fanned out behind him, a half-circle of grinning faces waiting for the show to start. "Hey, new girl," Tyler said, looking her up and down with a slow, deliberate smirk. "You lost? This school's got standards. You sure you belong here?" A few snickers rippled through the group. Someone's phone lifted, recording. Nia's fingers twitched, just once, before she forced them still. "Breathe. Not here. Not yet. I'm exactly where I need to be," she said, her voice smooth, controlled, like steel wrapped in velvet. Tyler's grin widened. "Cute. Real cute. But let's see how long that attitude lasts." Then he shoved her. Hard. Nia let herself stumble back, just enough to sell it, before catching her balance. The crowd erupted in laughter. But Nia, she smiled. And that should have been their first warning. 5 years ago, in a different city, a different life, Nia had been smaller, quieter, easier to break. She remembered the sting of the locker room floor against her knees, the metallic taste of blood in her mouth. The girls who had cornered her, rich, pretty, untouchable, had laughed as they walked away, their designer shoes clicking against the tile. "Stay down, gutter rat." That night, Nia's older brother Marcus found her curled up on the floor of their tiny apartment, her face swollen, her hands shaking. He was the only family she had left, the only one who ever cared. "You gotta fight back, Nia," he whispered, wiping her tears with rough, calloused hands. "This world don't care if you're sweet. It only respects strength." A week later, Marcus was gone, gunned down in an alley. The police called it gang-related. Nia knew better. The men who killed him? She buried them all. And that was how Nia Carter, the scared little girl, died. And Nia Carter, the ghost, was born. Back in Crestwood, Nia played the part. She let Tyler and his crew think they had won. Let them believe she was just another easy target. But when the final bell rang, she didn't head home. She followed Jake, Tyler's right-hand man, into the empty parking lot. "Hey, Jake," she called, her voice sweet. He turned, smirking. "What, you wanna apologize now?" Nia tilted her head. "No, I just wanted to give you a head start." His smile faded. "Ha!" Then she moved. Fast. Too fast. 1 second, Jake was standing. The next, his face met the pavement, Nia's knee planted in his back. "Tell your friends," she whispered, her voice colder than winter. "The next one won't walk away." Then she was gone, vanishing into the shadows like she was never there. Jake limped into the locker room, face bruised, hands shaking. Tyler laughed. "Dude, what happened?" "You trip." Jake's voice was barely a whisper. "It's her, man. That new girl, she's not human." Tyler rolled his eyes. "Relax. She got lucky. Tomorrow, we break her." Big mistake. Because Nia Carter wasn't just some girl. She was judgment wrapped in skin. And Crestwood High, it had just become her hunting ground. The fluorescent lights of Crestwood High buzzed overhead as Nia walked through the front doors, her backpack slung carelessly over one shoulder. The scent of industrial cleaner and cheap cafeteria food filled the air, that universal high school smell that never changed no matter what city she found herself in. Her dark eyes swept across the crowded hallway, taking in the social hierarchy playing out before her, the jocks by their lockers, the theater kids dramatically reciting lines, the loners trying to disappear into the walls. A girl with braids and thick glasses glanced at Nia, then quickly looked away when their eyes met. Nia could read that look, equal parts curiosity and caution. New students were always either fresh meat or potential threats in places like this. The office had given her a map, but Nia didn't need it. She'd already memorized the layout during her reconnaissance last night. Every exit, every blind spot in the security cameras, every teacher's habitual movements. Old habits died hard. "Excuse me," a voice chirped behind her. Nia turned to see a petite blonde girl with a too bright smile. "You're new, right? I'm Emily, student ambassador. Need help finding your first class?" Nia forced her shoulders to relax, her face to soften. "That'd be great," she said, letting just a hint of nervousness creep into her voice. "I'm Nia. Just transferred from Detroit." Emily's eyes widened slightly at the mention of the city. Nia could practically see the stereotypes flashing through her mind. "Oh wow, that's different. Well, welcome to Crestwood. You'll love it here. Everyone's super nice." As if on cue, a loud voice cut through the hallway chatter. "Make way for royalty, peasants." Tyler Briggs swaggered down the center of the hallway. His Letterman jacket sleeves rolled to show off muscular forearms. His entourage of fellow athletes and wannabes trailed behind him like a pack of hyenas. Emily stiffened beside Nia. "Just ignore them," she whispered. "They think they own the school." Nia watched as Tyler shoulder-checked a skinny freshman, sending the boys' books flying. The laughter that followed was sharp and cruel. Her fingers twitched at her sides, but she kept her expression carefully blank. Tyler's gaze landed on Nia as they passed. He slowed, looking her up and down with a smirk. "Well, hello there. Fresh meat." Emily grabbed Nia's arm. "Come on, let's go." Nia allowed herself to be pulled away, but not before locking eyes with Tyler. She made sure her stare was just empty enough to seem intimidated, but with the faintest hint of challenge. Enough to bait the hook. As they turned the corner, Emily exhaled sharply. "Sorry about that. Tyler's, well, he's the quarterback. His dad's the police chief. He basically gets away with murder here." Nia filed that information away. "Sounds like a real prince." "You have no idea," Emily muttered. Then brightening, "But hey, at least you've got first period with me. Mrs. Calloway's English is actually pretty fun once you get past her obsession with Shakespeare." The classroom was already half full when they arrived. Nia took the seat Emily pointed to, in the back corner where she could observe the room. She noted the exits, the teacher sightlines, which students looked like potential problems. Mrs. Calloway, a wiry woman with wild gray hair, clapped her hands. "All right, monsters. Settle down. We have a new student today. Nia, would you like to introduce yourself?" 30 pairs of eyes turned to stare. Nia felt the weight of their gazes, some curious, some bored, a few openly hostile. She stood slowly, keeping her posture slightly hunched, her voice quiet but clear. "I'm Nia Carter. Just moved here from Michigan. I like reading and running." The lie came easily. She hadn't been a normal teenager in so long she'd forgotten what real hobbies sounded like. A snicker came from the front row. "What, from the cops?" Tyler muttered just loud enough for the class to hear. More laughter followed. Mrs. Calloway shot him a look. "Mr. Briggs, detention slips come in bulk. Don't make me use them." She turned back to Nia. "Welcome to Crestwood. I hope you'll find your time here rewarding." The lesson began, but Nia's attention was elsewhere. She watched how Tyler passed notes to his friends, how they all looked to him for approval. The hierarchy was clear. This was his kingdom. When the bell rang, Nia made sure to be the last one out. She lingered by the door as Tyler and his crew filed past. As expected, he couldn't resist one last jab. "Watch your step, Detroit," he said, knocking her shoulder as he passed. "Streets here aren't as forgiving as what you're used to." Nia let her books slip from her hands, scattering across the floor. She made a show of scrambling to pick them up, playing the embarrassed new girl perfectly. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Jake, Tyler's lackey, snap a picture with his phone. The humiliation would be on social media before lunch. Perfect. The morning passed in a blur of introductions and fake smiles. Nia made mental notes of every slight, every whispered comment, every door held just a little too long so it would hit her. She absorbed it all like a sponge, storing it away. Lunch was when things got interesting. The cafeteria was a battlefield of cliques and territories. Nia took her tray and headed for what looked like the safest option, a half-empty table near the back. She'd barely sat down when a shadow fell across her food. "Sorry, that seat's taken," Tyler said, flanked by Jake and 2 other football players. "Newbies sit by the trash cans. House rules." Nia looked up slowly. "I don't see anyone else sitting here." Tyler's smile didn't reach his eyes. "That's 'cause you're in their spot. Now move before I move you." A hush had fallen over the surrounding tables. Everyone was watching, waiting to see how this would play out. Nia let the silence stretch just long enough to make it uncomfortable before standing with her tray. "My mistake," she murmured, keeping her eyes downcast. As she turned to leave, Tyler's foot shot out, catching her ankle. Nia let herself fall, her tray clattering to the floor, food splattering across the linoleum. The cafeteria erupted in laughter. "Oops," Tyler said, not sounding sorry at all. "Clumsy much?" Nia gathered her spilled lunch with shaking hands, the picture of humiliation. But beneath the facade, her mind was crystal clear, calculating. She'd given them exactly what they wanted. A victim. Now they'd get careless. The rest of the day passed without incident, if you didn't count the whispered comments or the occasional shoulder check in the halls. Nia played her part perfectly, the quiet new girl who didn't fight back. When the final bell rang, she made sure to be seen heading toward the bus stop. Then she doubled back, slipping into the blind spot of the security cameras near the athletic wing. She knew Jake had football practice, but he always skipped the last 20 minutes to smoke behind the bleachers. Right on schedule, the side door creaked open, and Jake emerged, already pulling a vape from his pocket. Nia waited until he was settled against the far fence, shrouded in shadow, before making her move. "Those things will kill you," she said, stepping into view. Jake jumped, nearly dropping the vape. "Jesus! What the hell, Detroit? You trying to give me a heart attack?" Nia tilted her head. "Just looking out for your health." He recovered quickly, puffing out his chest. "What, you following me now? Got a little crush?" "Something like that," Nia said, her voice dropping all pretense of meekness. "I wanted to give you a message for Tyler." Jake's smirk faltered at her tone. "Yeah? And what's that?" Nia moved. 1 second she was 5 feet away, the next she had Jake pinned against the fence, her forearm pressed against his throat just hard enough to make breathing difficult. His eyes bulged in shock. "Tell him the new girl says hello," Nia whispered. Then, with a movement too fast to follow, she drove her knee into his stomach, just hard enough to knock the wind out of him without leaving lasting damage. As he doubled over, gasping, she leaned close to his ear. "And tell him tomorrow I won't be so polite." Then she was gone, melting into the shadows between the buildings before Jake could even straighten up. Nia allowed herself a small smile as she walked home. Phase 1 was complete. The trap was set. By tomorrow, the whole school would hear about what happened to Jake. Tyler's pride wouldn't let that slide. He'd come for her, and when he did, well, that's when the real fun would begin. The next morning, whispers slithered through Crestwood High like smoke. Nia walked through the front doors with her head down, shoulders slightly hunched, the perfect image of the timid new girl. But her eyes missed nothing: the sideways glances, the hushed conversations that cut off when she passed. Jake had talked. Good. She spotted him near the lockers, his usual swagger replaced by a stiff posture and darting eyes. A dark bruise bloomed along his jaw where she'd struck him last night. When he saw her, he flinched, just slightly, before turning away. Perfect. Tyler, however, wasn't so easily rattled. He leaned against the water fountain, arms crossed, watching her with narrowed eyes. His smirk was still there, but it was tighter now, less sure. Nia made sure to stumble when she passed him, dropping her notebook. "Oops," she murmured, scrambling to pick it up. Tyler's foot came down hard on the papers, pinning them to the floor. "You got something you want to say to me, Detroit?" Nia kept her eyes down. "No." He leaned in, his breath hot against her ear. "Jake says you got lucky last night. But we both know that's bullshit, don't we?" Nia didn't answer. Tyler straightened, his voice loud enough for the nearby students to hear. "See, I think you're playing a game. And games have rules." He ground his heel into her notebook, tearing the pages. "Rule number 1? You don't touch my boys." Nia let her hands shake as she gathered the ruined papers. Tyler smirked, satisfied. "Rule number 2? You don't get to play unless I say so." Then he walked away, his laughter trailing behind him. Nia waited until he was gone before allowing herself the smallest of smiles. Go, Tyler. You have no idea what game we're playing. Lunchtime. The cafeteria. Nia sat alone again, picking at her food. She didn't have to wait long. Tyler and his crew swaggered over, trays in hand. Without asking, they slid into the seats around her, boxing her in. "Mind if we join you?" Tyler asked, already sitting. Nia kept her eyes on her food. "It's a free country." Jake, still nursing his bruised jaw, glared at her. The other two, Ryan and Cole, watched her like hawks. Tyler took a long sip of his soda, then set it down with a thud. "So, let's talk about last night." Nia didn't look up. "Nothing to talk about." Tyler's hand shot out, gripping her wrist. "See, I disagree." His fingers dug in, hard enough to bruise. "You put your hands on my friend. That's a problem." Nia finally met his eyes. He shouldn't have been alone. A flicker of uncertainty crossed Tyler's face. Then he laughed, releasing her. "Damn, you've got balls. I'll give you that." He leaned back, studying her. "What's your deal, huh? You some kind of gangbanger back in Detroit? That why you're here? Running from something?" Nia said nothing. Tyler's grin widened. "Oh, this is gonna be fun." He stood, jerking his head at his friends. "Come on. We've got plans for our new girl." They left, but the threat hung in the air like a storm cloud. Nia exhaled slowly, flexing her wrist. The skin was red where Tyler had grabbed her. "Good." After school. The parking lot. Nia knew they'd come for her. She made sure to take the long way home, cutting through the empty lot behind the school. Sure enough, tires screeched as Tyler's black Mustang skidded to a stop in front of her. The doors flew open, and suddenly she was surrounded. "Going somewhere?" Tyler asked, cracking his knuckles. Nia didn't answer. She just watched, waiting. Jake stepped forward, his earlier fear replaced by bravado now that he had backup. "You're gonna pay for last night, bitch." Nia tilted her head. You really shouldn't have brought friends. Then she moved. The first strike sent Jake crashing into the Mustang's hood. The second dropped Ryan to his knees. Gasping, Cole lunged, but Nia sidestepped, driving her elbow into his spine. He hit the pavement hard. Tyler was the last one standing. His smirk was gone now, replaced by something like fear. Nia advanced slowly.
"Rule number 1, she said, echoing his words from earlier.
You don't touch me. Tyler swung. Nia caught his fist mid-air, twisting until he cried out. Rule number 2? She yanked him forward, her voice a whisper. You don't get to play unless I say so. Then she slammed her knee into his stomach, dropping him like a stone. The 4 boys lay groaning on the asphalt as Nia straightened her jacket. She pulled out her phone, snapping a quick picture of them. Remember this moment, she said softly, because next time, I won't stop.
Then she walked away, leaving them in the dust.
That night, Nia's apartment. Asterisk. The burner phone buzzed on the nightstand. Nia picked it up, reading the text. Asterisk status. Asterisk. She typed back. Asterisk targets engaged. Proceeding as planned. Asterisk. A pause. Then, asterisk, don't get attached. Asterisk. Nia stared at the message for a long moment before turning off the phone. Outside, the rain began to fall. The rain tapped against Nia's bedroom window like impatient fingers. She sat cross-legged on the floor, her back against the bed frame, meticulously cleaning the small pistol she hadn't used in months but always kept within reach. The motions were automatic. Disassemble, clean, reassemble, a ritual as familiar as breathing. Downstairs, the front door creaked open. Heavy footsteps. The sound of keys clattering onto the kitchen counter. Nia! Her uncle's voice, rough from too many cigarettes and too little sleep. Up here, she called back, sliding the reassembled gun beneath her mattress just as the bedroom door opened. Malik stood in the doorway, his broad shoulders nearly filling the frame. His police uniform was rumpled, dark circles under his eyes like bruises. He surveyed the room, the neatly made bed, the school books stacked on the desk, the absence of anything personal, before his gaze settled on Nia. First week at the new school. How's it going? Nia shrugged. Fine. Malik exhaled through his nose, the way he always did when he knew she was lying but didn't have the energy to push. He tossed a brown paper bag onto the bed. Dinner. Eat something. When he turned to leave, Nia spoke without thinking. You know a cop named Briggs? Malik froze. Slowly, he turned back. Chief Briggs? Yeah, I know him. His voice went flat. Why? Nia picked at a loose thread on her jeans. His kid goes to my school. He's a problem. For a long moment, Malik just stared at her. Then he rubbed a hand over his face. Stay away from that family, Nia. The chief isn't just some small-town cop. He's connected. Connected how? Enough to make people disappear. Malik's jaw tightened. You listening to me? Whatever game you're playing. I'm not playing anything. The look Malik gave her could have peeled paint. Bullshit. I know that look. It's the same one Marcus used to get right before. He cut himself off, shaking his head. Just stay out of trouble. For once. The door clicked shut behind him. Nia waited until his footsteps faded downstairs before pulling out her phone. A quick search. Chief Alan Briggs, Crestwood corruption. The results were interesting. The next morning, Crestwood High. Asterisk. Nia spotted Tyler the moment she walked in. He was holding court by the lockers, but something was off. The usual swagger was muted, his smile strained. A fresh bruise colored his cheekbone, one she hadn't put there. When their eyes met, something dark flickered across his face before he looked away. Curious. Nia was halfway to first period when a hand grabbed her arm, yanking her into an empty classroom. Jake. Up close, he looked worse than yesterday. Pale, sweating, his pupils too wide. You need to back off, he hissed, grip tightening. Nia didn't pull away. Or what? Or you're dead. His breath smelled like stale beer and fear. Tyler's dad knows about you. He's digging. You have no idea what you're messing with. Nia tilted her head. Why are you warning me? For a second, Jake looked almost human. Because whatever you are, the chief is worse. Then he shoved past her and was gone. Nia stared at the empty doorway, turning Jake's words over in her mind. This changed things. Lunchtime. The library. Asterisk asterisk. Nia sat in the farthest corner, her laptop open to local news archives. The pieces were starting to form a picture, one she didn't like. Chief Alan Briggs had a history. A decorated cop with too many closed cases. Too many witnesses who changed their stories or vanished entirely. Rumors of deals with the cartel, of bodies buried in the state park. All whispers, no proof. But the most interesting part? 5 years ago, Briggs had been investigated by Internal Affairs. The lead investigator? Officer Marcus Carter. Nia's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Her brother's name stared back at her from the screen, a ghost in black and white. The door creaked open. Nia snapped the laptop shut just as Emily slid into the chair across from her. "Hiding from Tyler," she whispered. "Something like that." Emily bit her lip. "Look, I don't know what's going on, but people are talking. Tyler's dad was here this morning. He pulled Tyler out of class, and when they came back, Tyler looked like he'd seen a ghost." She leaned closer. "What did you do?" Nia studied Emily, the genuine worry in her eyes, the way her hands trembled slightly. An idea took shape. "I need a favor." After school. The parking lot. Asterisk asterisk. Nia waited by the bike racks, watching a student stream toward buses and cars. Right on time, Tyler emerged, flanked by 2 men in suits who didn't look like teachers. Bodyguards. Interesting. Tyler spotted her. For a second, pure hatred flashed across his face before the suits ushered him into a black SUV. Nia's phone buzzed. A text from Emily. Got it. Attached was a photo, Tyler's schedule, complete with his home address, copied from the school office. Nia allowed herself a small smile. Game on. That night, the Briggs residence. Asterisk asterisk. The house was exactly what Nia expected. A sprawling McMansion on the edge of town, all fake columns and manicured lawns. Security cameras at every corner. A patrol car parked conspicuously down the street. Amateur hour. Nia slipped through the shadows, avoiding motion sensors with practiced ease. The second-floor window was unlocked. Predictable. Inside, the house smelled like leather and expensive whiskey. Voices drifted from downstairs. "Don't care what it takes." Chief Briggs' voice, razor sharp. "You find out who she is and you end this. Tonight." A muffled response. Then, "I already told you, she's just some transfer student. She got lucky, that's all." Tyler. Whining. A loud slap. "Wake up, boy. That girl is trained. No teenager moves like that. She's here for a reason, and I guarantee it's not to play nice with spoiled brats." Nia edged closer, pressing against the wall. "Then what do we do?" Tyler sounded younger now, scared. A long pause. Then, so quiet Nia barely caught it. "Same thing we did with her brother." Ice flooded Nia's veins. The floorboard creaked under her foot. Silence downstairs. Then, check the house. Nia was already moving. Midnight. The abandoned factory on 5th Street. Asterisk asterisk. Nia paced the empty space, her breath coming in sharp bursts. The pieces clicked together with brutal clarity. Marcus hadn't been killed in some random gang shooting. He'd been murdered, and Briggs had given the order. Her phone buzzed. Malik. Again. She ignored it. The burner phone lit up with a new message. Asterisk, abort mission. Extraction in 24 hours. Asterisk. Nia stared at the words until they blurred. Then she typed a reply. Asterisk, negative. Mission parameters changed. Asterisk. She powered off the phone. Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. The rain had turned into a downpour by the time Nia reached the Crestwood Police Department. Water sluiced down her leather jacket as she stood across the street, watching the fluorescent lights flicker behind the station's glass doors. A lone officer sat at the front desk, chin propped on his hand, half asleep. Nia checked her watch. 2:17 a.m. Perfect. She circled around back where the employee parking lot sat mostly empty, save for a few cruisers and Chief Briggs' personal vehicle, a black SUV with tinted windows. The security camera pointed at the back entrance had a blind spot she'd identified earlier. 3 steps to the left, right up against the dumpster, and she was invisible. The lock on the service door gave way after 30 seconds of careful picking. The hallway beyond was dark, lit only by emergency exit signs. Nia moved silently past the break room, the holding cells, toward the evidence locker at the end of the hall. Marcus' file would be here, if Briggs had kept it at all. The locker door was heavier than she expected, the metal groaning as she eased it open. Rows of shelving stretched into the darkness, packed with cardboard boxes and plastic evidence bags. Nia pulled out her phone, using the dim light to scan the labels. Carter, M. Wasn't under current cases. She checked the archives in the back. Nothing. Then she spotted it, a small safe bolted to the floor beneath the gun cabinet. No label, but the digital keypad glowed faintly in the dark. Nia crouched, examining the mechanism. High grade. Probably logged every attempt. She was weighing her options when a voice cut through the silence. Looking for something? Nia spun. Chief Briggs stood in the doorway, his service weapon drawn. The overhead lights flicked on, revealing the deep lines of his face, the cold calculation in his eyes. He wasn't surprised to see her. Nia straightened slowly, keeping her hands visible. Just doing some late-night reading. Briggs chuckled, but the sound held no warmth. I knew you'd come. Marcus was the same. Couldn't leave well enough alone. He stepped closer, gun steady. You're even more like him than I thought. The way he said Marcus' name, casual, familiar, sent a spike of rage through Nia's chest. She forced her voice to stay level. You murdered him. Correction. Briggs smiled. I retired him. Just like I'm going to retire you. A flicker of movement behind him. Nia didn't react. Briggs kept talking, confident now. See, here's the thing about loose ends. You think you've tied them all up, but there's always one you miss. He gestured with the gun. You should have stayed gone, kid. Nia waited until the shadow behind Briggs shifted again. Then she dropped. The gunshot was deafening in the confined space. The bullet whizzed over Nia's head as she rolled, coming up behind a shelving unit. Briggs whirled, just as Malik stepped out of the shadows, his own weapon drawn. Drop it, Alan. For a heartbeat. No one moved. Then Briggs laughed. Malik, Christ, you're dumber than I thought. You really gonna throw away your career for this? Malik's finger tightened on the trigger. She's my niece. And Marcus was your brother. Didn't stop you from looking the other way when he disappeared. Nia saw Malik flinch. Saw the moment of hesitation. It was all Briggs needed. His gun swung toward Malik. Nia moved. The knife left her hand before she'd fully registered throwing it. The blade buried itself in Briggs' wrist with a wet thunk. His gun clattered to the floor. Chaos erupted. Malik tackled Briggs against the shelves. Evidence boxes rained down around them as the two men grappled. Nia lunged for Briggs' fallen weapon. A second gunshot rang out. Malik staggered back, clutching his shoulder. Briggs scrambled for the door, blood streaming from his wrist. Nia raised the gun. Don't! Malik gasped, pressing a hand to his bleeding shoulder. He's not worth it. For a long moment, Nia held her aim. Then, slowly, she lowered the weapon. Briggs was already gone, his footsteps fading down the hall. Sirens wailed in the distance. Malik sagged against the wall, his face pale. Go! Now! Nia hesitated. You'll bleed out. I'll live. He grimaced. But if they find you here... The sirens grew louder. Nia grabbed Marcus' file from the safe, the one Briggs had been so desperate to hide, and shoved it into her jacket. Then she hauled Malik to his feet. Together or not at all, she said. They vanished into the storm just as the first patrol cars skidded into the lot. On. The safe house. Asterisk asterisk. Malik lay on the musty couch, his shoulder bandaged with torn strips of an old shirt. The wound was clean, through and through, but he'd lost a lot of blood. Nia sat cross-legged on the floor. The contents of Marcus' file spread around her. Photos. Reports. A single flash drive. The truth was uglier than she'd imagined. Marcus hadn't just been investigating Briggs. He'd been building a case against the entire Crestwood PD, the drugs they stole from evidence, the payoffs from local dealers, the bodies buried in unmarked graves. Enough to bring down the whole department. Enough to get himself killed. Malik groaned. Stirring. You should be halfway to Canada by now. Nia didn't look up from the papers. I'm finishing what Marcus started. Don't be stupid. Briggs will have every cop in the state looking for you. Let them come. Nia finally met his gaze. I'm done running. Malik studied her for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. Then we do it right. No more knives in the dark. He gestured to the flash drive. That's the key. Nia plugged it into her laptop. The screen filled with video files, audio recordings, bank statements. Marcus' entire case, meticulously documented, including Briggs' confession. Malik let out a low whistle. Well, that changes things. Nia was already typing, uploading the files to every major news outlet, federal watchdog site, and social media platform she could think of. By morning, the whole world would know. She leaned back, watching the progress bar crawl across the screen. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled. The storm was coming. And this time, Nia would be ready. The first news alerts began pinging across phones in Crestwood just as the sun crested the horizon. By 7 a.m., the local news station had interrupted regular programming with a special report. By 8, the hashtag CrestwoodPD was trending nationally. Nia watched it all unfold from the safehouse couch, her laptop balanced on her knees, the glow of the screen casting sharp shadows across her face. Malik snored lightly in the armchair opposite her, his injured shoulder freshly bandaged, an empty bottle of whiskey on the floor beside him. The video played on loop across every major network. Chief Alan Briggs, his face clearly visible in the grainy surveillance footage, accepting a brick of cash from a known cartel lieutenant. His voice, crisp and clear. Asterisk, make sure the bodies stay buried this time. Asterisk. Nia refreshed the page. Comments poured in by the thousands. Outrage. Disbelief. A few stubborn defenders claiming it was all fabricated. She didn't care about the online circus. She was waiting for one thing only. At 8:47 a.m., it happened. Breaking. FBI raids Crestwood Police Department. Malik stirred as Nia turned up the volume. The news chopper footage showed a swarm of federal agents descending on the station, their black body armor stark against the pale concrete. They actually came, Malik muttered, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He squinted at the screen. Holy shit. Nia said nothing. Her fingers traced the edge of Marcus' notebook, the one she'd found tucked inside the evidence file. Page after page of his meticulous handwriting, every crooked cop, every dirty deal, every body hidden in the state park. The last entry was dated the day before he died. Asterisk Alan knows. Watch your back. Asterisk. Malik limped to the kitchenette, pouring 2 cups of bitter gas station coffee. He set one in front of Nia. You did it, kid. Marcus would be proud. Nia stared at the steam rising from the cup. It's not over. On screen, the reporter was breathlessly detailing the scope of the scandal. Dozens of officers implicated, the mayor calling for an emergency session, the district attorney announcing a full review of every case Briggs had touched. No mention of Tyler. Nia checked her phone. 3 missed calls from an unknown number. 2 texts from Emily. Asterisk Tyler's freaking out. His dad got arrested at school in front of everyone. Asterisk. Asterisk where are you? Asterisk. Malik was watching her. What now? Nia stood, stretching the stiffness from her limbs. Now we see how deep the rot goes. Crestwood High, 11:03 a.m. The school was in chaos. Students clustered in the halls, phones out, voices overlapping as they dissected the morning's events. The usual hierarchy had collapsed. Jocks stood shoulder to shoulder with debate team nerds, all united in their shock. Nia slipped in through the side entrance, her hood up, moving with purpose. She didn't have to search for Tyler. She could hear him before she saw him. Bullshit.
His voice cracked as he shoved a freshman out of his way. "That video's fake. My dad's being set up." His usual entourage was conspicuously absent. Even Jake kept his distance, his face unreadable. Nia stepped into Tyler's path. He nearly collided with her before registering who she was. His bloodshot eyes widened, then narrowed. "You." The word came out strangled. "This is your fault." Nia tilted her head. "I didn't take the money, Tyler. I didn't bury those bodies." A crowd was forming around them, drawn by the confrontation. Tyler's face flushed an ugly red. "You're dead, bitch. You hear me? Dead." Nia smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Try me." For a second, she thought he might actually swing. His fists clenched, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Then, with a sound halfway between a sob and a scream, he turned and shoved his way through the crowd. The whispers started before he was even out of earshot. "His dad killed people. I heard they found bones. My brother got arrested last year for..." Nia let the tide of gossip wash over her. This was better than killing Tyler. Let him live with this. Let the whole town see the Briggs family for what they really were. A hand touched her elbow. Emily, her eyes wide. "Did you know about his dad?" Nia met her gaze. "I had a hunch." Emily swallowed hard. They're saying Chief Briggs killed someone. A cop." The bell rang, cutting off whatever else she might have said. The crowd dispersed, leaving Nia standing alone in the suddenly empty hall. She pulled out her phone and texted Malik. * check the state park. Coordinates in Marcus' notebook. *. Then she headed for the exit. School was over for today. The Crestwood Sentinel. 2:15 p.m. Nia pushed through the newspaper office's glass doors, the smell of stale coffee and printer ink thick in the air. A harried-looking receptionist barely glanced up from her computer. "Help you? I need to speak with whoever covered the Marcus Carter story 5 years ago." That got her attention. The woman's eyes darted to the TV mounted in the corner, currently playing footage of Briggs in handcuffs. "You're Nia Carter, his sister." A door down the hall burst open. A rumpled man in his 50s, his tie loosened, came striding toward her. "Jesus Christ. Come with me." His office was a disaster of stacked papers and empty takeout containers. He cleared a space for her to sit, then leaned against his desk. "Rick Dolan. I wrote the original piece on your brother." He studied her. "You're the one who leaked the Briggs footage." It wasn't a question. Nia reached into her bag and pulled out Marcus' notebook. "I want you to publish this. All of it." Dolan took the notebook gingerly, flipping through the pages. His expression grew increasingly grim. "This is... Christ. This is everything. Not everything." Nia pulled out the flash drive. "The rest is here. Names, dates, locations." Dolan exhaled sharply. "You realize what you're handing me, right? This isn't just a scandal. This is a grenade." Nia stood. "Then pull the pin." State Park, 4:30 p.m. The FBI crime scene tape fluttered in the breeze, a bright yellow contrast against the dense trees. Nia watched from a distance as agents marked off a freshly dug patch of earth, their faces grim. Malik appeared beside her, his arm in a sling. "They found him." Nia didn't ask which body he meant. There would be more than one, she knew. Marcus was just the beginning. "They're calling it the biggest police corruption case in state history," Malik said quietly. "Briggs is singing like a canary, trying to cut a deal. Already gave up half the department." Nia watched as a body bag was carefully lifted from the ground. "Good." Malik hesitated. "They're going to want to talk to you. The feds. Let them. You could get immunity. Witness protection." Nia turned to face him. "I'm not hiding anymore." The wind picked up, carrying the scent of damp earth and pine. Somewhere in the trees, a bird called, sharp and clear, like a warning. Malik sighed, rubbing his injured shoulder. "What now, then?" Nia looked back at the crime scene, at the agents swarming like ants over the freshly turned soil. "Now," she said, "we bury the rest.
The rain had returned by the time Nia reached the cemetery. She stood beneath a black umbrella, the cold metal of the folding chair biting into her legs even through her slacks. The small crowd gathered around Marcus' freshly dug grave was a mix of reporters, curious onlookers, and a handful of cops who'd risked their reputations to show up. Malik sat stiffly beside her, his service pistol conspicuously absent from his hip for the first time in 15 years. The department had suspended him the moment Briggs started naming names. Not because he was dirty, but because he'd known. Because he'd looked the other way. The priest droned on about resurrection and eternal life. Nia tuned him out, focusing instead on the casket. Cheap pine, paid for by the police union at the last minute when the scandal made it politically inconvenient not to. A flash of movement near the gates caught her eye. Tyler. He stood apart from the crowd, his Letterman jacket swapped for a black hoodie, his face gaunt. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Their eyes met across the rows of headstones. For a second, something almost like understanding passed between them. Then he was gone, melting back into the rain. Malik followed her gaze. That the Briggs kid? Nia nodded. You gonna go after him? She studied the fresh dirt piling onto Marcus' casket. He's already dead. Just doesn't know it yet. The reception after was worse than the funeral. The church basement smelled of burnt coffee and stale pastries. Well-meaning strangers kept touching Nia's arm, telling her how brave Marcus had been, how sorry they were, how they'd always known something was off about Briggs. Nia accepted their condolences with tight smiles and practiced nods. She was counting down the minutes until she could leave when a woman in a navy pantsuit cornered her by the punch bowl. Ms. Carter? Special Agent Vasquez, FBI. She flashed a badge too quickly for Nia to get a good look. We need to talk. Nia sipped her watery punch. About your brother's case, your involvement, your future. Vasquez's smile didn't reach her eyes. Somewhere more private? The church parking lot was deserted except for a black SUV with tinted windows. Vasquez leaned against the hood, lighting a cigarette despite the rain. Let's skip the bullshit, she said, exhaling smoke. We know who you are. What you are. Nia said nothing. Marcus was working undercover for us when Briggs made him. We'd planned to extract him, but... Vasquez shrugged. He was dead before we could move. The admission hit like a punch to the gut. Nia forced herself to breathe. You used him. He volunteered. Vasquez took another drag. Just like you've been volunteering these past few years. Chicago, Detroit, Miami. She ticked the cities off on her fingers. Freelance wet work with a moral compass. Interesting niche. Nia's hand drifted toward her waistband. Vasquez laughed. Relax. We're not here to arrest you. We're here to offer you a job. The rain pattered against the SUV's roof. Somewhere in the distance, a car alarm wailed. What kind of job? Nia asked finally. Vasquez stubbed out her cigarette. The kind your brother would have taken. The kind where you get to choose your targets. The kind where, when you find another Briggs, you don't have to pretend to be a high school student to take him down. She slid a business card across the hood. A phone number. No name. No agency. Nia left it sitting in the rain. Vasquez smirked. You'll call. 1 week later. The apartment was empty when Nia returned. All traces of Malik were gone. No note, no forwarding address. Just a clean space where his duffel bag had been. She wasn't surprised. The feds would have offered him the same deal. Disappear or spend the rest of his life looking over his shoulder. Nia dropped her keys on the counter and opened the fridge. A single beer sat on the bare shelf. Taped to it was a photograph. Marcus at 14, grinning with his arm around a younger Nia, both of them squinting into the sun. She took the beer and the photo to the fire escape. The city sprawled beneath her, a maze of lights and shadows. Somewhere out there, Tyler Briggs was learning what it meant to be powerless. Somewhere else, Alan Briggs was trading secrets for a shorter sentence. And in 100 other towns, 100 other predators were still hunting. Nia pulled out her phone. Dialed the number. Vasquez answered on the first ring. Knew you'd call. Nia took a long swig of beer. Tell me about the job. As Vasquez talked, Nia studied the photo in her hand. Marcus' smile. her own untroubled eyes. The innocence they'd both lost. She tucked the picture into her pocket and listened. The night was young, and she had work to do. The safe house smelled of gun oil and stale takeout. Nia sat at the rickety kitchen table, reassembling her Glock with practiced hands while Vasquez paced the length of the cramped apartment, her phone pressed to her ear. "Understood," Vasquez said, then hung up. She turned to Nia, her expression unreadable. "It's time." Nia slid the magazine home with a satisfying click. Details. Alan Briggs is being transported from county lockup to a federal holding facility tonight. His testimony has already implicated 2 state senators and an assistant director at the DEA. Vasquez tossed a manila folder onto the table. Certain people would prefer that testimony never makes it to trial. Nia opened the folder. Surveillance photos of a prison transport route. Shift change schedules. Blueprints. "You want me to kill him before he talks." Vasquez lit a cigarette, the flame flickering in the dim light. "I want you to make it look like someone else did." The irony wasn't lost on Nia. Briggs had ordered hits from behind a badge for decades. Now he'd die by one. She studied the route maps. Who's running transport? Marshal Service. 4 agents, armored vehicle. Vasquez exhaled smoke. They'll take the 90 to avoid construction on I-84. There's a stretch near mile marker 117 where the trees come right up to the shoulder. Nia closed the folder. "I'll need a rifle." Vasquez smirked. "Already in the trunk." 9:47 p.m. State Route 90. The rain had started again, a fine mist that blurred the edges of the world. Nia lay prone on a rocky outcropping 50 yards above the highway, the Barrett .50 caliber cold against her cheek. The night vision scope painted everything in eerie green. Her earpiece crackled. ETA 2 minutes. Nia adjusted her grip. The plan was simple. Disable the lead escort vehicle with a well-placed shot to the engine block. When the transport stopped, take out the driver. The rest would be chaos. Headlights appeared around the bend. Nia slowed her breathing. The convoy came into view. 2 black SUVs flanking a reinforced prison van. Right on schedule. She exhaled halfway and squeezed the trigger. The shot echoed through the trees. The lead SUV's hood exploded in a shower of sparks and steam. Brakes squealed as both vehicles swerved to a stop. Nia chambered another round. Through the scope, she watched as marshals poured from the vehicles, weapons drawn. One shouted into his radio while 2 others took up defensive positions near the transport. She put the next round through the van's front tire. Chaos erupted. Nia used the distraction to reposition, scrambling down the rocky slope to the tree line. The marshals were shouting now, their flashlights cutting erratic patterns through the dark. She unslung the compact MP5 from her back and waited. Right on cue, the back of the transport van burst open. A marshal tumbled out, clutching his throat. Then Briggs appeared, his orange jumpsuit stark against the night, his hand still cuffed in front of him. He ran straight for the trees. Nia smiled. 10:03 p.m. Forest Ridge. Briggs crashed through the underbrush, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Branches lashed at his face, but he didn't slow down. Nia tracked him effortlessly, moving like a shadow between the trees. She could have taken the shot at any time, but where was the fun in that? Briggs tripped over a root and went down hard. When he rolled over, Nia was standing over him, the MP5 leveled at his chest. His eyes widened. "You?" Nia tilted her head. "Hello, Chief." Briggs scrambled back until he hit a tree. "They sent you to kill me." "Actually," Nia said, pulling a key from her pocket, "I'm here to give you a fighting chance." She unlocked his cuffs. Briggs rubbed his wrists, suspicion warring with desperation. "Why?" Nia tossed a pistol at his feet. "Because Marcus deserved better than a bullet in the dark." She stepped back. "Pick it up." For a second, Briggs just stared at the gun. Then he lunged for it. Nia shot him through the right kneecap. Briggs screamed, collapsing into the leaves. The gun tumbled from his grasp. "That's for lying to your son about who killed his mother," Nia said calmly. She fired again. Left kneecap. Another scream. Nia crouched beside him, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus kept a notebook.
Page 47 mentions a warehouse fire in '08.
3 children inside. Briggs' breath came in short, panicked bursts. You don't understand. Nia silenced him with a bullet to the gut. I understand perfectly, she said, standing. You're going to bleed out here in the dirt. Alone. Afraid. And when they find your body, the world will assume your cartel friend silenced you. She turned and walked away, Briggs' pleas fading into the night behind her.
11:30 p.m. Safe house. Vasquez was waiting when Nia returned, a glass of bourbon in hand.
She raised an eyebrow. Well, Nia set the unused rifle on the table. Done. Vasquez handed her the glass. Welcome to the team.
Nia downed the bourbon in one swallow, the burn barely registering.
Outside, the rain intensified, hammering against the windows like distant gunfire. Somewhere in the city, Tyler Briggs would be getting the call about his father. Somewhere in a federal evidence locker, Marcus' notebook would be cataloged and filed away. And somewhere out there in the dark, another monster was waiting to be put down. Nia set the empty glass on the table. Who's next? The diner off Interstate 95 was the kind of place that hadn't changed since the 1970s. Sticky vinyl booths, a flickering neon sign, coffee strong enough to strip paint. Nia sat in the corner booth, her back to the wall, watching the door through the reflection in the grease-smeared window. The waitress, a tired-looking woman with a name tag that read Dottie, refilled her mug for the 3rd time. You waiting on somebody, hon?
Nia wrapped her hands around the warm ceramic.
He'll be here.
As if on cue, the bell above the door jingled.
Tyler Briggs shuffled in, his hood pulled low over his face. He looked like hell. His Letterman jacket was gone, replaced by a stained sweatshirt, and dark circles hung under his bloodshot eyes. When he spotted Nia, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. Dottie eyed him warily. Sit anywhere, you. We're fine, Nia said. Tyler slid into the booth opposite her. Up close, he smelled like cigarettes and cheap whiskey. You got some nerve, he hissed. Nia pushed a second coffee cup toward him. I know who really killed your mother. The color drained from Tyler's face.
3 hours earlier.
The file Vasquez had given her was thinner than expected. Just 12 pages detailing a fire at a dockside warehouse 14 years ago. The official report called it an electrical accident. The photos told a different story. Nia spread them across the motel bed. Charred beams. A child's melted sneaker. And most damning of all, a single shell casing recovered from the scene. .45 caliber, the same round used by Crestwood PD at the time. Vasquez leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Briggs ordered the hit. Whole family was inside. Mother, father, 2 kids. Problem was, the wife wasn't supposed to be there. Nia studied the victim list. Maria Delgado, formerly Maria Briggs, Alan's first wife. She'd filed for divorce, threatened to go public about his cartel ties. Vasquez tossed her a key card. Tyler doesn't know. Alan told him she died in a car accident. Nia caught the key card. And you're telling me this why? Because the Delgados weren't the only family Briggs burned. Vasquez's smile was razor thin. Thought you might want to give Tyler the news in person. Present. The diner. Tyler's hands shook around his coffee cup. Bullshit. My mom died in a 2008 Chevy Suburban? Nia slid the accident report across the table. That's what the death certificate says. Funny thing is. She placed a second photo beside it, a blackened vehicle frame. No Suburban was found at the warehouse. Tyler's breath hitched. He reached for the photo, then snatched his hand back like it burned. Why are you doing this? Because your father made it personal when he killed mine. Nia leaned forward. But unlike him, I'm giving you a choice. Outside, a semi-truck rumbled past, shaking the diner's windows. Somewhere in the kitchen, a radio played static-laced country music. Tyler stared at the photos, his jaw working silently. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. What choice? Nia placed a burner phone on the table. The feds have your dad on racketeering, murder, half a dozen other charges. But without testimony about the Delgado hit, He walks on that one. She tapped the phone. This has one number programmed in. Call it, and you get to look the man who murdered your mother in the eye when they strap him to a gurney. Tyler's eyes flickered between the phone and Nia's face. And if I don't? Then you spend the rest of your life wondering if he'd have killed you too, if you'd ever become inconvenient. Nia stood, dropping a 20 on the table. Your move, Briggs. She was halfway to the door when Tyler spoke again. Did you kill him? Nia didn't turn around. Does it matter? The bell jingled as she stepped into the night. Behind her, through the diner window, she saw Tyler pick up the phone. Safe house, 1:17 a.m. Vasquez was waiting with 2 glasses and a bottle of top-shelf bourbon when Nia returned. She raised an eyebrow. Well, Nia took the offered glass. He'll call. Vasquez poured them each 3 fingers. You sure about that? Nia thought of the look in Tyler's eyes, the shattered realization, the dawning fury. Positive. They drank in silence for a minute. Then Vasquez set her glass down with a click. New assignment. Leaves in 6 hours. Nia swirled the bourbon. Where? Mexico City. Cartel lieutenant named Esteban Rojas. Your file's on the table. Vasquez stood, stretching. Get some sleep. You look like hell. The door clicked shut behind her. Nia picked up the file, but her mind was elsewhere. Somewhere in Crestwood, Tyler Briggs was staring at a phone, wrestling with ghosts. Somewhere in a federal prison, Alan Briggs was counting down the days until his trial. And somewhere out there, another monster was waiting. She opened the file. The work never ended. Mexico City smelled like diesel fumes and fried tortillas. Nia stood on the rooftop of a crumbling apartment building in the doctor's neighborhood, watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of burnt orange. Below her, the city stirred to life. Vendors setting up carts, bleary-eyed workers shuffling toward metro stations, the occasional gunshot echoing from distant alleyways. The file on Esteban Rojas lay open at her feet, held down by a brick to keep the wind from stealing its pages. Photos, surveillance reports, bank statements, all the usual breadcrumbs that led to men like him. The last page was a grainy still from a security camera, dated 3 days ago. Rojas shaking hands with a familiar face in a Houston parking garage. Alan Briggs. Nia picked up the photo, studying it. The timestamp placed the meeting 2 weeks after Briggs' arrest. Impossible. Unless. Her burner phone buzzed. Vasquez. Asterisk. Change of plans. Extraction team en route to your location. Do not engage Rojas. Asterisk. Nia typed back. Asterisk why? Asterisk. The reply came instantly. Asterisk, he's not cartel. He's CIA. Asterisk. A door slammed somewhere in the building below. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. Too many to be the extraction team. Nia folded the photo into her pocket and drew her Glock. Safe house. 48 hours earlier. The video feed on Vasquez's laptop showed a dimly lit interrogation room. Alan Briggs sat at the metal table, his orange jumpsuit hanging loose on his frame. His lawyer whispered in his ear while 2 federal agents looked on. Vasquez tapped the screen. Briggs cut a deal this morning. Full confession in exchange for witness protection. Nia watched as Briggs signed something on the table. What about the Delgado hit? Not part of the plea. Vasquez closed the laptop. But here's the interesting part. His lawyer? Not a public defender. Private firm out of D.C. with ties to Langley. Nia frowned. CIA. Which brings us to Mexico. Vasquez pulled up another file. Esteban Rojas, mid-40s, alleged cartel money launderer. Officially, he's dirty. Unofficially, he's been running CIA black ops funds through shell companies for a decade. Nia studied the photo. And Briggs was working with him. More like for him. Vasquez handed her a plane ticket. Rojas has a meet tonight with someone high up in the Sinaloa cartel. Find out who, and we might finally get the proof we need to burn this whole operation down. Present. Rooftop. Mexico City. The footsteps grew closer. Nia crouched behind an AC unit, her gun trained on the rooftop door. It burst open. 3 men in tactical gear spilled out, rifles sweeping the area. Not cartel. Their equipment was too high-end. Private military, maybe. Or CIA. Nia held her breath. The lead man barked something in Spanish into his radio. No está aquí. They moved methodically, checking behind vents and storage sheds. One kicked over the brick holding down Rojas' file, scanning the pages before stuffing them into his vest. Nia's phone vibrated in her pocket. The men froze. The leader turned slowly toward her hiding spot. Nia shot him through the throat. Chaos erupted. The two remaining men opened fire blindly, bullets chewing through the AC unit's metal casing. Nia rolled left, coming up behind a chimney stack. Two quick shots dropped the second man. The third scrambled for cover behind a satellite dish. No despair. Tengo information. Nia kept her sights on him. About. The man swallowed hard. Briggs. Rojas. The money. He reached slowly into his vest. Tengo pruebas. The bullet came from nowhere, punching through the man's temple before he could finish. Nia spun toward the source. Another rooftop, 2 buildings over. A glint of sunlight on a rifle scope. She barely had time to dive behind cover before the next shot ricocheted off the chimney where her head had been. Sniper. Nia crawled toward the rooftop door, keeping low. Another shot. Another near miss. Whoever was on that roof was good. Too good. She slipped inside just as the extraction team's chopper roared overhead. Abandoned textile factory. 3 hours later. The safe house was compromised. The extraction team was dead. Their helicopter shot down over the city outskirts. And Vasquez wasn't answering her phone. Nia moved through the factory's shadowy interior, her boots crunching on broken glass. This was supposed to be her fallback point. Now it felt like a trap. A faint scraping noise from the catwalk above. Nia ducked behind a rusted loom, her gun raised. Relax, Carter. A familiar voice echoed through the cavernous space. If I wanted you dead, you'd be with the rest of them. Vasquez stepped into a shaft of dusty sunlight, her left arm hanging limp at her side, blood soaking through her shirt. Nia kept her weapon trained on her. Start talking. It's a cleanup operation. Vasquez slumped against a support beam. Briggs was never supposed to get caught. Neither was Rojas. Too many loose ends. And you? Vasquez smiled bitterly. Loose end number 3. She reached into her jacket with her good hand, pulling out a flash drive. Everything's here. The money trails. The hits. Even who gave the order on your brother. Nia stepped closer. Who? The gunshot echoed through the factory. Vasquez jerked, a red bloom spreading across her chest. She collapsed to her knees, the flash drive clattering to the floor. Nia dove for cover as more shots rang out. Through the maze of machinery, she spotted them. Black-clad figures moving in formation. She grabbed the flash drive and ran. Callahan de los Muertos. Nightfall. The alley stank of urine and rotting meat. Nia crouched behind a dumpster, plugging the flash drive into her phone. Files loaded slowly. Bank records. Emails. Then, a video. Marcus, bruised but alive, handcuffed to a chair in a concrete room. The timestamp was 2 days after his supposed death. A man stepped into frame. Nia's breath caught. Esteban Rojas. He placed a phone to Marcus' ear. Say goodbye to your sister. Marcus looked straight into the camera, his eyes clear. Nia, if you're seeing this. The gunshot cut him off. Nia's hands shook. She rewound, freezing the frame on the shooter's wrist as he stepped into view. A distinctive tattoo, an owl with outstretched wings. The same tattoo Vasquez had on her left wrist. Nia ejected the drive just as her phone pinged. An incoming message from an unknown number. A single photo. Tyler Briggs, bound and gagged in a nondescript room. The text below read, asterisk, last chance to walk away. Asterisk. Nia pocketed the drive and stood. Somewhere in this godforsaken city, Rojas was waiting. And she was done running. The safe house in Roma Norte had been compromised. Blood smeared across the kitchen tiles, the distinct tang of gunpowder lingering in the air. Nia moved through the wreckage with methodical precision, her fingers brushing over overturned furniture and shattered picture frames. They'd torn the place apart looking for something. The flash drive burned a hole in her pocket. Her phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. This time, a video. Tyler Briggs, his face swollen and bloody, struggling against zip ties as a masked figure held a knife to his throat. The message below was simple. *midnight. Zocalo. Come alone. Nia deleted it. Tyler wasn't her problem. She pried up a loose floorboard near the bedroom closet, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, a second burner phone, a stack of pesos, and a 9mm with 2 spare mags. Vasquez's emergency stash. The phone had one number programmed in. Nia dialed. A man answered on the first ring. "You're still alive." "Barely," Nia said. "I need a location on Esteban Rojas." A pause. Then, "You don't know." "Know what?" "He's dead. Found in his penthouse this morning. Single gunshot to the head." Nia's grip tightened on the phone. "Who did it?" "Officially? Cartel hit. Unofficially?" The man exhaled sharply. "Same people who took out Vasquez. Same people who've been cleaning house since Briggs got arrested." Nia thought of the owl tattoo. Who are they? The Nocturnas. CIA Black Ops branch. Ghosts who handle problems too messy for the official record. A keyboard clacked in the background. They've been running Rojas for years. When he got compromised, they cut ties. Permanently. Nia stared at the bloodstains on the floor. And Vasquez. Loose end. Just like you. The pieces clicked together. Marcus had stumbled onto something bigger than Briggs. Bigger than Rojas. Something worth killing for. Where's their base? Not how it works. They don't have offices. Just safe houses, burned phones, dead drops. More typing. But if you want to find them, follow the money. Rojas moved funds through a shell company, Owl Holdings. Paper trail leads to a private bank in Polanco. Nia memorized the address. One last thing. The tattoo. An owl with spread wings. What does it mean? A long silence. When the man spoke again, his voice was hushed. That's not a tattoo. It's a brand. Means they've been initiated. The line went dead. Banco Privado de las Americas. 10:47 p.m. The bank was a sleek glass monolith in the heart of Polanco. Its marble lobby empty save for a single night guard. Nia watched from across the street as a janitor pushed a mop across the polished floors. She circled to the service entrance, picking the lock on a delivery door with practiced ease. The hallway beyond was dimly lit, security cameras blinking red in the corners. Nia avoided them effortlessly, slipping into the stairwell. 3rd floor. Private accounts. The door to the records room was reinforced steel, but the keypad was outdated. Nia bypassed it in under 30 seconds. Inside, rows of filing cabinets stretched into the darkness. Owl Holdings was in drawer 17B. She flipped through the files, real estate holdings, offshore accounts, then, bingo! A list of transactions, all coded, but one address stood out, a ranch outside Toluca. Recent payments for security upgrades and logistical support. Nia snapped photos with the burner phone. As she slid the file back, a slip of paper fluttered to the floor. A boarding pass. Esteban Rojas. Houston to Mexico City. The date matched the security photo with Briggs. And in the seat number column, handwritten in neat blue ink, N17. Nia frowned. Not a seat assignment. A designation. NOC. 17. Nocturna. Her phone vibrated. Another message. This time, a photo of Tyler's driver's license tossed in a trash bin. The caption. Last warning. Nia pocketed the boarding pass and headed for the stairs. Toluca Ranch. 1:13 a.m. The compound was a fortress. High walls, motion sensors, armed patrols. Nia observed from a ridge half a mile out, counting guards through her binoculars. 6 outside. At least twice that inside. She checked the 9mm's magazine. 17 rounds. Not nearly enough. A twig snapped behind her. Nia spun, gun raised. Tyler Briggs stood there, his face a mess of bruises, his hands bound in front of him. A figure in black loomed behind him, a pistol pressed to his temple. "Drop it," the man said. Nia recognized the voice instantly. The same one from the factory. She kept her weapon trained on them. "You're Nocturna." The man pushed Tyler forward. "And you're stubborn." He pulled back his sleeve, revealing the owl brand. NOC 11. Formerly CIA, now problem solver. Tyler stumbled, falling to his knees. "Nia, don't." NOC 11 silenced him with a gunshot to the back of the head. Nia didn't flinch. "Now," NOC 11 said, stepping over Tyler's body. "Let's talk about that flash drive." Nia pulled the trigger. The shot took NOC 11 through the right eye. He dropped like a puppet with its strings cut. Shouts erupted from the compound. Floodlights snapped on, sweeping the ridge. Nia grabbed Tyler's collar, dragging him behind a boulder. To her surprise, he groaned. "Play dead," she hissed, pressing the 9mm into his hands. Then she melted into the night, heading straight for the compound. The Nocturnas wanted a ghost? She'd give them one. The floodlights carved jagged white lines across the desert as Nia moved through the scrub brush, keeping low. Shouted orders in Spanish and English echoed from the compound. They knew someone was out here now. Tyler's blood had soaked through her sleeve where she'd dragged him. The kid was tougher than she'd given him credit for. The bullet had only grazed his skull, though he'd be seeing double for a week. She'd left him tucked behind a boulder with a 9mm and a single instruction. Asterisk, if it's not me coming back, shoot first. Asterisk. The compound's outer wall loomed ahead. No barbed wire. These people weren't worried about intruders getting in. They were worried about assets getting out. Nia pressed against the warm concrete, listening. Boots crunched along the patrol path above her. She waited until the guard passed directly overhead, then scaled the wall using finger-width cracks in the mortar. The guard never saw her coming. One quick twist of his neck, and she lowered the body silently to the walkway. His rifle was custom, an FN Scar with a night vision scope. She took it and his sidearm, leaving the radio crackling on his belt. Below, the inner courtyard buzzed with activity. Men in tactical gear formed up near a black SUV while another group swept the perimeter with flashlights. Nia counted 12 hostiles visible. She slung the rifle and climbed down the interior wall, dropping into the shadow of a water tank. The ranch house itself was a sprawling adobe-style monstrosity, all arched doorways and red tile roofs. Light spilled from the second-floor windows where figures moved behind drawn blinds. A shout went up near the east gate. They'd found NOC 11's body. Time to move. Nia darted across the courtyard, flattening herself against the house's outer wall. The first window was locked, but the second slid open silently. She slipped inside to a darkened office. Mahogany desk, leather chairs, a wall of monitors showing security feeds. One screen held her attention. A live feed of a concrete cell. A man sat shackled to a metal chair, his face swollen but unmistakable. Malik. Nia's fingers curled into fists. She'd assumed he'd fled into witness protection. Instead, they'd taken him, which meant they'd been watching her longer than she'd realized. A floorboard creaked in the hall. Nia ducked behind the desk as the door opened. "Cleanup crews en route," a woman said. "Should be here in 20. Make sure they torch the bodies this time," a man replied. "Last thing we need is another forensic headache." Their footsteps paused just feet from the desk. Nia held her breath. The woman sighed. "You really think she'll come? If she wants her uncle alive." The man chuckled. "And if Vasquez was right about her, she will." The door clicked shut. Nia waited 10 full seconds before moving. She pulled up the security system's interface. Password protected, but the sticky note under the keyboard read N17, Toluca. The monitors flickered as she accessed the camera archives. She rewound the cell block feed to earlier that evening. The video showed Malik being dragged in, beaten but conscious. Then, an hour later, a familiar face entered the cell. Vasquez. Alive. Nia's blood ran cold. On screen, Vasquez crouched beside Malik, speaking too quietly for the mic to pick up.
Then she pulled a syringe from her pocket and pressed it to his neck. Malik's body convulsed once before going limp. Vasquez checked his pulse, then nodded to someone off camera. "Prep the extraction team. I want him in Langley by dawn." Nia killed the feed. Every instinct screamed at her to bolt, to disappear into the night and regroup. But Malik was still down there. And Vasquez. A handgun cocked behind her. Looking for someone? Nia turned slowly. Vasquez stood in the doorway, her left arm still bandaged from the factory, her right holding a Glock steady. The owl brand peeked from beneath her sleeve. "You were dead," Nia said. Vasquez smiled. "I'm good at my job." The pieces clicked together. The setup in Mexico. The flash drive. All of it designed to lure Nia here. Why? Because you're a liability. Vasquez adjusted her grip. Marcus dug too deep. You dug deeper. And now, Nia moved. The knife hidden in her sleeve left her hand before Vasquez could react. It buried itself in her thigh. Vasquez snarled, firing wild as Nia dove behind the desk. The bullet shattered a monitor, sending glass flying. Nia came up with the dead guard's sidearm and put 2 rounds in Vasquez's chest. She dropped like a sack of bricks. Nia was on her in seconds, rifling through her pockets. Keycard. Phone. A folded map of the compound with 1 room circled. Detention level, cell 3. Malik. Shouts echoed down the hall. Nia grabbed Vasquez's keycard and slipped out the window just as the door burst open behind her. Detention level. The stairwell led to a steel door with a biometric scanner. Vasquez's keycard got her through. The cell block was straight out of a black site. Concrete floors, drain in the center, the coppery tang of blood in the air. Malik hung limp in his restraints, his breathing shallow. Nia checked the hall before approaching. Malik. No response. She shook him. Wake up. His eyelids fluttered. Nia? His voice was slurred. Run. It's a... The cell door slammed shut behind her. The lights went out. Then, from the darkness, a voice Nia hadn't heard in years. Hello, little sister. A single bulb flickered on, illuminating the figure leaning against the far wall. Marcus. Alive. The world narrowed to a single point. Marcus's face, older than she remembered but undeniably his. A scar bisected his left eyebrow, fresh enough that the stitches were still visible. He wore black tactical gear like the others, but no owl brand marked his skin. Nia's gun hand didn't waver. You died. Marcus pushed off the wall, moving into the light. I got recruited. He nodded to Malik. He didn't know. None of them did. Malik groaned, struggling against his restraints. You bastard! Marcus ignored him, his eyes locked on Nia. We need to talk. The cell stank of sweat and antiseptic. Nia kept her weapon trained on Marcus's chest. Start talking. Not here. Marcus produced a keycard from his pocket and tossed it to her. 3rd floor. Room 312. 1 hour. He moved toward the door. Nia stepped into his path. You faked your death. Had to. Marcus's jaw tightened. Briggs was small time. The Nocturnas? They're the real monster. He lowered his voice. Vasquez was right about one thing. You're a liability. But not for the reasons she thought. Boots pounded down the hallway outside. Marcus swore. Go. Now. Nia hesitated. Marcus shoved her toward a service hatch in the wall. Unless you want to explain to a dozen trained killers why their commander's dead in the office. The cell door handle rattled. Nia yanked open the hatch and slipped inside just as the door burst open. The crawlspace smelled of dust and wiring. She moved silently through the darkness, Marcus's keycard digging into her palm. Room 312 to 58 minutes later. The safe room was Spartan. A cot, a weapons locker, maps pinned to the walls. Marcus stood at the window, watching the compound below. They'll find Vasquez soon, he said without turning. Then this place will burn. Nia kept her back to the wall, sidearm drawn. Explain. Marcus turned. The years had hardened him. New scars, new lines around his eyes. But the way he held himself,
the tilt of his head when he spoke. That was still her brother. The Nocturnas started as a CIA wetwork team, he said. Black Ops. Deniable assets. Then someone got greedy. He tapped a map of Central America. They went rogue 10 years ago. Now they're guns for hire. Cartels, dictators, anyone who pays. Nia studied his face. And you joined them. I infiltrated them. Marcus pulled a flash drive from his pocket. A match to the one Vasquez had given her. Everything's here. Names. Accounts. Proof they murdered 3 senators and a Supreme Court justice. The pieces clicked together. Briggs was working for them. Middle management. Marcus spat. They had eyes everywhere. Cops, feds, even the marshals. He met Nia's gaze. They killed Dad, Nia. Not some random gang. Them. The air left Nia's lungs. Their father's death, a drive-by when they were kids, written off as gang violence. Another lie. Why now? She asked. Why come back? Because I'm done waiting. Marcus handed her the drive. The Nocturnas are planning something big. Next week, they're meeting their financier in Houston. Nia recognized the name before he said it. Esteban Rojas was small potatoes, Marcus continued. The real money comes from... Gunfire erupted outside. Shouts. An explosion rocked the building. Marcus cursed. They found her. He grabbed a duffel from under the cot and tossed it to Nia. Go. There's a truck behind the generator shed. Nia didn't move. You're coming. I can't. Marcus checked his pistol. I stay dead, or this was all for nothing. The door burst open. Malik stood there, blood dripping from a gash on his forehead, a stolen rifle in his hands. We need to move. Now. Marcus nodded to him. Get her out. Nia stepped between them. No more secrets. For the first time, Marcus looked uncertain. The financier. It's someone you know. Another explosion, closer this time. The lights flickered. Who? Nia demanded. Marcus's answer was lost in the blast that took out the north wall. Generator shed, 3:14 a.m. The truck was where Marcus promised. An old Ford with tinted windows and a full tank. Nia shoved Malik into the passenger seat as the compound burned behind them. Who was it? She demanded, peeling onto the dirt road. Who's funding them? Malik wiped blood from his eyes. You really want to know? Nia gripped the wheel tighter. Malik sighed. Alan Briggs wasn't the mastermind. He was the fall guy. He reached into his pocket and produced a photo. Briggs shaking hands with a silver-haired man in a tailored suit. Nia recognized him instantly. Mayor Richard Caldwell, of Crestwood. The man who'd given a tearful press conference after Briggs's arrest. The man who'd personally promised Nia justice for Marcus's death. Malik's voice was grim. He's not just funding them. He founded them. The road ahead blurred. Nia pressed the accelerator to the floor. Somewhere in Houston, a meeting was about to take place, and she intended to crash it. The Houston skyline shimmered in the midday heat as Nia pulled the stolen sedan into a parking garage overlooking the Galleria. 5 days had passed since the ranch. 5 days of back roads, burner phones, and sleepless nights. Malik snored in the passenger seat, his injuries still healing. Nia checked the rearview mirror out of habit. No tails. For now. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Asterisk. Caldwell arrives at 3. Penthouse suite. Bring the drive. Asterisk. No signature. But Nia knew it was Marcus. He'd been feeding her intel since they fled Mexico, each message more cryptic than the last. Malik stirred, wincing as he adjusted his sling. We there. Almost. Nia pulled into a spot near the elevator. You sure you're up for this? Malik's laugh turned into a cough. Kid, after what we've been through. A fancy hotel ain't shit. Nia handed him a key card. Room 1408. Surveillance setups already in place. I'll take point upstairs. Malik studied her. You trust your brother? Nia thought of the flash drive burning a hole in her pocket. All the secrets Marcus had collected. All the blood spilled to protect them. I trust him to have his own agenda. The Galleria Royale.
2:55 p.m. The penthouse elevator required a key. Nia rode up with a catering crew, her server's uniform itching under the Kevlar vest. The woman next to her prattled about hors d'oeuvres while Nia mentally catalogued exits. 2 stairwells, a service elevator, balcony access. The doors opened onto chaos. Men in dark suits moved through the suite, setting up equipment, checking radios. At the center of it all stood Mayor Richard Caldwell, his silver hair perfectly coiffed, his smile as polished as his Oxford's. Nia kept her head down, following the caterers to the kitchen. Through the swinging doors, she caught snippets of conversation. Asset recovery in Dubai. Senators on board now. Then, clear as day. Carter girls still alive. Nia froze. A deep voice responded, one she recognized from the ranch. Marcus swears she's clean. Says she'll play ball if we bring her in. Caldwell's laugh was ice. Like her brother did? No. She dies today. A hand grabbed Nia's elbow. You. The crab puffs need refilling. She let the waiter steer her toward the fridge, her mind racing. Marcus had sold her out, or was playing both sides. Either way, the trap was set. Time to flip the script. Nia excused herself to the restroom and texted Malik. Asterisk, abort. Burn everything. Asterisk. Then she disabled the smoke detector in the hallway and lit a napkin from the linen cart. 3:17 p.m. Chaos. The first fire alarm shrieked just as Caldwell's guests were seated. Nia watched from the service hallway as panic erupted. Bodyguards herding the mayor toward the exit. Suits scrambling for laptops. Perfect. She slipped into the now empty penthouse and headed straight for Caldwell's briefcase. The lock picked easily. Inside files, a laptop, and a black ledger. Nia flipped it open. Page after page of coded transactions. But one name jumped out. N17, Toluca. The ranch. Next to it, an amount, $20 million. And a date, tomorrow. The service door burst open. Nia spun, gun drawn. Marcus stood there, his own weapon raised. For a long second, neither moved. Then he lowered his pistol. You weren't supposed to be here yet. Nia kept hers trained on him. Caldwell said you sold me out. Had to make it convincing. Marcus nodded to the ledger. Find what you needed? Before Nia could respond, shouts echoed from the hallway. Marcus swore. They're locking down the building. We need to go. Now. Nia stuffed the ledger into her waistband. Malik. Safe. Marcus grabbed her arm. But we won't be if we don't move. They took the service stairs down 12 flights, emerging into a delivery alley. Marcus led her to a waiting motorcycle. Where's your extraction? Nia demanded. Marcus handed her a helmet. You're looking at it. The engine roared to life. Nia hesitated only a second before climbing on behind him. As they peeled onto Westheimer, a black SUV screeched around the corner. Marcus grinned over his shoulder. Hold on. Nia barely had time to grip his waist before he gunned it straight into oncoming traffic. Safe house. 9:42 p.m. The abandoned auto shop reeked of oil and mildew. Malik stood as they entered, his relief palpable. Thank Christ. Marcus tossed the bike keys onto a workbench. We've got maybe 6 hours before they find us. Nia pulled out the ledger. Talk. Fast. Marcus exhaled. Caldwell's laundering money through shell companies, Owl Holdings, N17, half a dozen others. That 20 mil? It's payment for a hit. On who? The only man who can expose them. Marcus pulled up a photo on his phone. A grizzled man in his 60s with piercing blue eyes. Former CIA Director James Holloway. He's testifying before Congress next week about Black Ops gone rogue. Malik whistled. They're gonna whack a spy master? Worse. Marcus zoomed in on the photo. Holloway standing with a young girl. They're going after his granddaughter first. To send a message. Nia's blood ran cold. The girl couldn't have been more than 12. Malik sank onto a crate. So what's the play? Marcus looked at Nia. That's up to you. The ledger weighed heavy in her hands. Inside were names, dates,
enough dirt to burn the nocturnas to the ground. But going public would paint a target on all their backs. Nia made her decision. Where's the girl now? Interstate 10, 11:03 p.m. The stolen Ford screamed down the highway, eating up miles between Houston and New Orleans. Holloway's granddaughter was at a private school there, unprotected. Malik dozed in the back seat while Marcus navigated. Nia studied the ledger under the dome light, piecing together the Nocturna's network. One name kept appearing. Knight. Who's Knight? She asked. Marcus's grip tightened on the wheel. Caldwell's successor. Runs day-to-day ops now that he's mayor. Nia flipped a page. Real name? Don't know. Nobody does. The headlights of a semi-truck flashed in the rear view. Then another. And another. Nia turned. 3 black SUVs were closing fast. Marcus swore and floored it. They found us. Nia reached for her gun. The first shot took out their back windshield. The bullet spiderwebbed the rear glass as Nia ducked, shards raining onto Malik's lap. He jerked awake with a curse, fumbling for his weapon. Marcus wrenched the wheel left, sending them careening across 2 lanes. Hold on! The Ford's tires screeched in protest as he took the next exit at near-ramp speed. The SUVs followed, their high beams flooding the interior with blinding light. Nia rolled down her window, leaning out with her Glock. 3 quick shots. One found a headlight, the other sparked off the lead SUV's grille. Save your ammo! Marcus barked. He swerved onto a rural access road, the Ford's undercarriage scraping gravel. The SUVs gained. Malik shoved between the front seats, his rifle braced against the dashboard. When I say, a muzzle flashed from the trailing vehicle. Their side mirror exploded. Now! Malik opened fire. The rifle's recoil punched through the cabin as he strafed the lead SUV's windshield. It veered sharply, clipping its companion and sending both spinning into a ditch. The third SUV rammed them. Metal shrieked as the Ford fishtailed. Marcus fought the wheel, but the road dead-ended at a rusted gate. No time to stop. The impact sent the gate flying. They crashed through into an abandoned industrial yard, the SUV still on their tail. Nia spotted the warehouse ahead, doors hanging open like a mouth. There! Marcus gunned it inside just as their pursuer unleashed a barrage. Bullets pinged off steel beams as they skidded to a halt behind a stack of pallets. Silence. Then car doors slamming. Footsteps. Nia counted 3, maybe 4 hostiles fanning out. She met Marcus's eyes. A silent question. He nodded. Malik ejected his spent mag. Plan. Nia chambered around. Hunt them back. The warehouse. 11:47 p.m. The interior was a maze of shipping containers and machinery, the air thick with the scent of mildew and oil. Nia moved soundlessly along a catwalk, scanning the shadows below. A flicker of movement near the east wall. One gunman advancing, rifle sweeping. She let him pass beneath her before dropping. The takedown was silent, a knife across the throat, the body lowered gently to the concrete. She relieved him of his sidearm and radio. Static crackled, east side clear. Nia pressed the call button. West clear. Moving to rendezvous. A pause. Then, copy. She smiled. Malik's voice whispered through her earpiece. Got 2 tangos near the loading docks. Marcus. On my way. Nia headed deeper into the warehouse. The radio chirped again. Orders to regroup at Point Delta. She altered course, climbing a rusted ladder to an overlook. Below, 3 figures clustered near a stack of crates. One was on the radio, their commander, judging by his stance. Nia raised her stolen rifle. A hand clamped over her mouth. Marcus's breath was hot in her ear. Don't! She tensed. That's Knight, he whispered, releasing her. The commander removed his helmet, revealing a face Nia knew. Special Agent Vasquez. Alive. Again. Nia's finger hovered on the trigger. You said she was dead. I lied. Marcus's expression was grim. She's Holloway's daughter. The girl's mother. The pieces clicked together. The fake death at the factory, the staged ranch interrogation. All of it theater to get Nia here. Why?
Marcus handed her an earpiece. "Listen." Vasquez's voice crackled through. "Extraction team en route to the school. Caldwell wants the kid alive until the hit's confirmed." A subordinate nodded. "And the Carters? Burn them all." Nia removed the earpiece. "We're the bait." Marcus checked his watch. "Holloway's testifying in 8 hours. They'll move on his granddaughter at dawn." Malik's voice hissed through their comms. "We've got company." Below, Vasquez's team was dispersing. Toward the ford, Marcus gripped Nia's arm. "You and Malik take the south exit. Get to New Orleans. And you." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'll buy you time." Nia hesitated. Gunfire erupted below. Marcus's diversion. She ran. Interstate 10, 3:22 a.m. The stolen motorcycle ate up the miles. Nia leaning into the curves with Malik clinging behind her. The wind tore at their clothes, the roar of the engine drowning all thought. They'd made it 5 miles before the explosion lit up the horizon, the warehouse going up in flames. Nia didn't look back. Malik's voice was raw in her ear. He knew. She knew what he meant. Marcus had planned this from the start. The ranch. The ledger. All of it to lead her here, to this moment. To Holloway's granddaughter. The bike's headlight caught a sign. New Orleans, 42 miles. Nia twisted the throttle. St. Genevieve's Academy, 5:58 a.m. The private school was a sprawling Gothic nightmare, all spires and wrought iron gates. Nia scoped it from a nearby oak, the rising sun painting the brick facade in gold. Malik adjusted his binoculars. 2 guards at the east gate, 3 more patrolling. Nia counted the windows. 3rd floor, far right. The girls' dorm, according to Marcus's intel. Movement near the perimeter wall. Black-clad figures scaling the ivy. Nocturnas. Nia chambered around. We go now. They breached the east gate silently, dispatching the guards with suppressed shots. The academy grounds were eerily quiet, the only sound the crunch of gravel underfoot. Then a scream tore through the dawn. Nia ran. 3rd floor hallway. The door to room 312 hung splintered open. Inside, a teenage girl cowered on her bed, her face streaked with tears. Vasquez stood over her, a syringe in hand. Nia stepped into the doorway. "Mommy, dearest." Vasquez turned, her expression unreadable. "I wondered if you'd make it." The girl sobbed. "Mom, please." "Quiet, Emily." Vasquez's voice was ice. Nia froze. "Emily." The student ambassador from Crestwood High. The pieces crashed together, Vasquez planting Emily at the school to monitor Nia, to steer her toward the truth. "All of it a game." Nia raised her gun. "You used your own daughter. She's a means to an end." Vasquez pressed the needle to Emily's neck. "Just like you." Malik appeared in the hallway, rifle raised. "Stand down." Vasquez smiled. Too late. The syringe plunged home. Emily's eyes rolled back as her body went limp. Nia pulled the trigger. The shot took Vasquez through the shoulder, spinning her into the wall. Nia was on her in seconds, driving a knee into her ribs. "Antidote," she snarled. Vasquez laughed, blood bubbling on her lips. "No antidote. Just time." She glanced at her watch. "Holloway's testifying in 1 hour. If he doesn't recant, she dies." Malik checked Emily's pulse. Weak but steady. Nia pressed her gun to Vasquez's forehead. "Call it off." "Can't." Vasquez's smile was ghastly. "But you could save her. If you hurry." Nia stood. "Where?" "DC, of course." Vasquez coughed. "Though you'll never make it in." Nia pistol whipped her into unconsciousness. Malik scooped up Emily. "Now what?" Nia grabbed Vasquez's phone. "We make our own time." She dialed the only number that mattered. Marcus answered on the first ring. "I need a pilot." The private jet touched down at Reagan National as the first light of dawn streaked the sky. Nia watched from the window as a black SUV sped across the tarmac toward them, its lights flashing. Marcus had come through, again. Malik unbuckled his seatbelt, shifting Emily's unconscious form in the seat beside him. The girl's breathing was shallow but steady, her skin pale under the cabin lights. The syringe's contents remained a mystery. Paralytics, poison, or something slower. Vasquez's words echoed in Nia's mind. If he doesn't recant, she dies. The SUV screeched to a halt outside. The door flew open, and Marcus stepped out, his face haggard but alert. Behind him, a grizzled man in his 60s emerged. James Holloway, his piercing blue eyes scanning the plane with military precision. Nia grabbed the emergency kit and wrenched open the cabin door. Holloway was at the base of the stairs before she'd fully descended. Where is she? Nia jerked her head toward the plane. Inside. She needs medical. Holloway snapped his fingers, and two paramedics rushed past them up the stairs. He turned to Nia, his voice low. You're the Carter girl, and you're the reason my brother's dead. Holloway's jaw tightened. Your brother was one of the bravest men I've ever known. Malik emerged from the plane, supporting Emily as the medics guided her onto a stretcher. Holloway started toward them, but Nia blocked his path. Vasquez said Emily dies if you testify. Holloway's face darkened. My daughter always did have a flair for the dramatic. He pulled a small vial from his pocket. Antidote. Standard CIA-issue neurotoxin. She'll be fine in an hour. Nia didn't move. Why? Because I needed proof. Holloway's gaze never wavered. Proof that Caldwell and his nocturnas had crossed every line. Now I have it. He nodded toward Emily, his own granddaughter. Marcus stepped forward. Sir, the hearing proceeds as scheduled. Holloway checked his watch. In 90 minutes. Sirens wailed in the distance. Nia turned to see three black sedans speeding toward them from the terminal. Marcus cursed. They're here. Holloway remained eerily calm. Get Emily to the safe house. I'll handle Caldwell. Nia drew her weapon. Like hell. The lead sedan skidded to a stop 20 yards away. The doors flew open, revealing men in tactical gear, nocturnas. Holloway sighed. I was hoping it wouldn't come to this. Then, from behind them, a weak voice. Grandpa! Emily sat up on the stretcher, her face still pale but her eyes clear. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a thumb drive. Mom gave me this. Said to only hand it over if... She swallowed. If something happened to her. Holloway took the drive, his hands uncharacteristically shaky. What's on it? Everything. Emily's gaze flicked to Nia. Names. Accounts. Even... She hesitated. Even who really killed Marcus Carter. The nocturnas advanced, weapons drawn. Nia stepped in front of Emily, her Glock raised. Holloway pocketed the drive. Marcus, get them out of here. Marcus grabbed Nia's arm. We need to move. She shook him off. Not until I get answers. The first shot rang out, a sniper round that sparked off the plane's hull. The nocturnas opened fire. Chaos erupted. Nia dragged Emily behind the SUV as bullets peppered the pavement around them. Holloway and Marcus returned fire, covering the medics as they reloaded the stretcher. Malik crouched beside Nia, his rifle braced against the tire. We're sitting ducks. Nia scanned the airfield. The terminal was too far. The plane compromised. Then she spotted it, a fuel truck idling near the hangar. Cover me. She broke left, sprinting low and fast toward the truck. Bullets kicked up concrete at her heels. But she didn't slow. The truck's cab was empty, keys dangling in the ignition. Nia wrenched the door open and turned the key. The engine roared to life. The nocturnas realized her plan too late. She slammed the gas, aiming straight for their position. At the last second, she bailed, rolling clear as the truck plowed into the lead sedan. The explosion lit up the morning sky. Nia staggered to her feet, ears ringing. Through the smoke, she saw Marcus and Holloway herding Emily toward a second SUV. The remaining nocturnas were regrouping. A hand grabbed her collar, yanking her behind a baggage cart. Malik, we've got incoming. 3 more black sedans screeched onto the tarmac. These bore government plates. The nocturnas hesitated, then scattered. The sedan doors opened, revealing men in FBI windbreakers. At their head stood a familiar face, Special Agent Daniel Reyes,
the man who'd interrogated Briggs. Reyes surveyed the carnage, then approached Holloway. "Sir, we need to get you to Capitol Hill." Holloway nodded. He turned to Nia. "Come with us." She shook her head. "I'm done being your pawn." Holloway's expression softened. "Then take this." He pressed the thumb drive into her hand. "The truth about your brother, and your chance at real justice." Marcus stepped forward. "Nia." She turned away. Malik fell in beside her as she walked toward the burning wreckage. Behind them, the FBI convoy sped off, Holloway and Emily safely inside. Marcus didn't follow. Malik lit a cigarette. "Where to now?" Nia studied the thumb drive. Somewhere in D.C., Caldwell was preparing for the hearing. Somewhere in Mexico, the Nocturnas were regrouping. And somewhere in the data on this drive was the name of the person who'd given the order to kill Marcus. She pocketed it. "We finished this."